You're listening to the Marketing Attractions Podcast. Conversations on how nonprofit attractions are increasing attendance and sharing their missions through marketing. Your hosts are Ryan Dick and Jenny Williams of Attend Media.
Jenny, today's topic, bootstrapping your social media influencer marketing. Jenny, what is social media influencer marketing?
So I think in the simplest terms, it's where businesses are collaborating with individuals who have a following on social media. So this is anyone from, a mega celebrity like a Kim Kardashian with millions and millions of followers, all the way down to maybe a local influencer who has a couple thousand followers. And I think in the case of nonprofit attractions, what we're looking for is, that local influencer with a few thousand followers, because they can do so much more for us in terms of really representing our brand and being authentic to the type of content that they create.
So you're saying the size of a social media influencer, their audience size, the number of followers for us, that doesn't really matter?
Yeah. So I think, our approach when it comes to social media marketing is really that, more is better. So if we can work with local influencers, even with smaller followers, that can produce lots of content for us, and then we can take that content and promote it. The promotion of that content is what's really going to drive reach, for us as a nonprofit attraction. And so really we kind of look at doing a couple things, searching for existing user-generated content that's already out there, because that's going to be much faster and easier to promote than going out and building or creating this content. Buying that content from a creator. So asking them to, be able to utilize that creative or that content in, our advertising to reach more people. And then be willing to spend actual money on promoting it, just like we would a regular content that we're producing for our ads internally. And then I think in the long run, just being able to build deeper working relationships with the creators that we see performing the best in the ads that we do. That's really kind of our philosophy to how we look at working with local influencers and then building them into ambassadors. Got
it. So your take on this is get the content regardless of the audience size, as long as that influencer has quality content that represents our attraction. It doesn't matter the audience size. It doesn't matter the amount of followers. We don't need Kim Kardashian. We just need the good looking videos, because we can spend money, ad dollars, to promote that content.
Yeah, I think people have tripped up in the past because it's let's get one influencer to do one post for us, and we're not even really sure how it performed. How do we measure it? They said it did well. It looks like it got some likes, but what did it really do for us?
Right.
I think our approach allows you to be able to answer that question a little bit easier, but also removes as many barriers to entry as possible when it comes to getting started with an influencer management.
I'm thinking most nonprofit attractions are doing some sort of social media influencer marketing now, right?
So I think some are doing it well. Yes. Some are definitely doing a great job at this. They're utilizing a lot of different content creators. They're not just focused on producing their own content, but I think, where this often may sit is within maybe an internal PR team. So, the PR team's reaching out already to, different, TV stations, radio stations, the media, and within those channels. And now they've added social media influencers to that list. So they're inviting some of the larger influencers, the, Things to Do in Denver influencer. They're inviting them out to exhibits for little sneak peeks and stuff. But I think there's still ways that this can be amplified or done in a way where you're letting them know that you'll pay for content that they do produce, because I think there's still a lot of people who think, or still a lot of attractions that probably think, well, I'm giving them tickets, so isn't that enough? But the production, the quality of the video content that's coming out from these, creators now takes a lot of time to do. So I think if you can start offering to pay them for this content to utilize and promote, you'll actually get more out of these influencers as well.
Yeah. So the social media influencer tasks, if you will, or overall strategy kind of is this mushy space between, the more traditional marketing, advertising team and the PR team. We're looking at this from more of a paid advertising standpoint. What are some other challenges that you've seen some internal teams stumble upon when concentrating on social media influencer marketing?
Where does it fit? I think that's the biggest one. Is it my PR team? Is it my paid media team? Do I have a completely separate bucket for influencer marketing? And I think that's, a challenge that a lot of people are probably thinking of right now. So, if it fits with, if it's its own bucket, are you working with a third party influencer management company who's going to do it all for you? They can be really expensive. Is it, how am I, if it's my PR team, how are they going through and vetting it? Or, maybe they're great at picking out the influencers, but how are we judging performance on it? Right. So that might be the piece that's lacking if it's in, you're sitting in your PR department. And if it's your media team, they might be saying, well, hey, we're really good at running the ads to promote it, but like, we're not going to go through and pick out who these influencers need to be. So if it's sitting kind of somewhere in between all three of these, you have to make sure they're all working together. Or you need to define what the strategy is for how you're going to go about this. And I think we have a way to make that a little bit easier.
And I'm also thinking a lot of our audience out there, or when we talk to attractions, is, oh man, we've got the best in-house video production team. They create beautiful, stunning content. That's not really what we're talking about today, though. Yeah,
that's great. I mean, if you've got it, obviously keep that going. I mean, I think a lot of attractions are probably jealous to hear if you have that team in-house. But we're talking about more user-generated content. Our point of view, or your point of view as the attraction, is great, but what's even better is someone else's point of view of your park and sharing that.
Well, what a perfect segue, because I've got this list of 6 reasons why attractions should be doing influencer marketing. And number 1 on your list is people watch user-generated content. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So, I think everyone knows what user-generated content is. I think we've been talking about it and hyping up user-generated content for a long time now. Particularly within social channels. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's authentic content, right? So it's the POV from your visitors. It's someone else saying how fun your attraction is, not you saying how fun your attraction is. When we think about younger audiences as well, they are sniffing out ads. They don't want to be, they don't want to, they don't want to know that you're paying someone to tell them that you're great. And if it's authentic and it's a paid partnership, they feel that authenticity and they're okay with it. But if it's not authentic and they can just tell that you literally said, hey, go shoot a video on us, don't even come to the attraction, just tell everyone how great it is, they're going to be like, this isn't real. Like, this is definitely paid and I don't want to go visit this park. So I think the authentic content is really key here for how you're going to work with an influencer. A couple of other interesting stats around this. There's, TikTok has definitely released a ton of, data on how user-generated content performs compared to like typical ad content from a brand. But I think more importantly is there's a lot of third-party companies who have done some similar studies as well. So there's a third-party like measurement company called Realize that's done a study. I think this was maybe a year ago or so. They're really just determining that user-generated content on TikTok specifically performed 10 times more effective at like encoding emotion than conventional ads from a brand does. And I think the number on TikTok compared to Facebook was like 3 times higher. So this is important because user-generated content is evoking emotion from the audience that's seeing it. I think when we talk to attractions about, what type of creative they want to create, it's creative that drives, an emotion from their audience because, we're talking about mission here, right? With these attractions, we're talking about, fun with your family. Like there's a lot of emotion behind the creative. And if you can get even more of an emotional response out of your audience with user-generated content, then that's even better.
Number 2 on the list, the ingredients. Oh man, I like this one. Okay. The ingredients for creating engaging content are already there. What do you mean by that?
Oh, I mean, you're fun. You're an attraction. You've got awesome backdrops. You've got, excitement. You've got different exhibits coming through. There's so much to talk about. People want to show off that they had an awesome weekend, an awesome night out with their friends, with their family, with their significant other. There's just so many different ways that people can experience your attraction and they want to share that.
Yeah, I can't think of the last time I've gone into a bank and go, oh man, I'm going to take so many selfies. This is so cool.
Right, of the POV of me walking through to like open a checking account, right? So they're happening because someone's paying them for that, not because they just wanted to show you what it looks like to walk inside of the bank.
And I know this sounds like a no-brainer, but I think that's something that gets lost in the forest a little bit is our clients, these nonprofit attractions, like it's right there. It's fun. We got to lean into that. We got to exploit that to a bit, say, hey, there's content out there. And actually, I kind of just stole the number 3 one right there. The content is already there.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest barriers to beginning, an influencer program is the content, and those ingredients like we talked about, and like we've got all of that with an attraction. So lean into it. You're probably seeing a lot of this content already produced. Again, that's great because we can use that content to promote without having to go in and negotiate a larger contract with an influencer necessarily. But probably what you haven't thought of is actually I should take that content that's already existing and promote it. You might share it, but through your social channels, but only your followers are seeing it if you're sharing it through your social channels versus new followers. And if you actually were to promote that content, you would reach a lot more people.
Yeah, I'm thinking, all right, I'm going on Google and I'm going to search my own attraction, and it pops up a bunch of videos of a day at the zoo or a day at the aquarium. It's this 1 minute walkthrough, and it doesn't look, the actual content, the video quality doesn't look as good as the stuff I see in my TV commercials that I have my B-roll for, or the stuff my in-house team is promoting. And you're saying, hey, don't knock that. That's quality content, but you might have just glanced over it because it, once again, doesn't have that beautiful production value as some of the stuff I'm more used to. Is that right?
Yeah. And I think you got to remember in channels like TikTok, the overly produced content does not perform as well as that user-generated content. So in this case, the user-generated content is perfect the way it is. It doesn't need to be done in a particular, stylistic manner to, to be worthy of the channel.
I like that. That's a really good point. Okay. I've got this little stat here. People are spending an average of, is this real? People are spending an average of 53 minutes a day on TikTok. And you're saying that leads to content wear out. Explain that.
Yeah. So, when we think through, just think of yourself, how you scroll through social media, especially if you're sitting there for an hour on the
53 minutes, Jenny, 53 minutes.
You're getting through content pretty quickly. And I think one of the things I think a lot of attractions do a great job of producing a lot of content. I think where they don't do as well of a job is producing a lot of content for ads. So if we're able to utilize content that's being created by, influencer or, creators out there already and incorporate that to give us more variety in our ads are going to perform better. So I think when we think about content wear out, it's not just content wear out in terms of, organic content. It's content wear out in terms of paid content as well too.
Yeah, there's something different about scrolling in a social media platform, sitting with your phone, your downtime for the day. Like I expect to see a TV commercial a couple of times, and some of the insurance ones like pretty funny. It's like, oh, I want to see that again. That's okay. But if I see the same kind of video over and over in my feed, it's like, ugh, boring.
Right. I want to see, like, as a consumer, I'm okay seeing 5, 6, 7 different versions of the exhibit that is going on in an attraction. I don't want to see the same version of the exhibit 5, 6, 7 times. And I think that's where like frequency is a big thing when it comes to social media platforms and your ads, particularly in a channel like TikTok, where that wear out happens even faster than other channels. And
tying this all together, you're saying that there is a library of content already out there produced by people who are fans of your attraction. We just got to go find it and promote it. That's kind of the gist of what we're saying. And they want you so badly to pay them to use their content to promote.
You're listening to the Marketing Attractions Podcast. Conversations on how nonprofit attractions are increasing attendance and sharing their mission through marketing. Your hosts are Ryan Dick and Jenny Williams of Attend Media. Attend Media is a media planning and buying agency specializing in zoos, aquariums, gardens, and museums. For more information, please visit attend.media. Now, back to Ryan and Jenny.
All right, so recapping our list so far, people watch user-generated content. Compared head-to-head to ads, user-generated content is more engaging. Number 2, the ingredients for creating user-generated engaging content already there. Once again, think about a bank lobby compared to the tiger exhibit. And number 3, we're saying that there's a library or there's already existing content out there. Why don't you give me your 3 other reasons on why nonprofit attractions should be using influencer marketing?
Yeah. So, the next one would be that you can just hire several influencers that can connect with different audiences. So, I'm not stuck to just working with one specific influencer. Nonprofit attractions have a lot of different diversity initiatives. So think about hiring a different person for each one of those. The more, you're going to have higher engagement rates when you have authentic content, and you're going to have authentic content by working with, people who look like the followers that you want to bring into your park. And it's also looking at your different target audiences from like an age perspective or lifestyle. So is it the, mom with the young kids, or is it the single who wants to, have a fun night out after work?
Yeah. And I'm also thinking like another benefit here is, okay, let's say we've carved off some budget to increase our visitation from the Hispanic audience. Well, maybe traditionally I'm thinking, okay, well, we got to go create a Hispanic radio ad and run it on the Spanish radio station. Not that creating a new radio spot is that intense in terms of a time, effort, and budget, but maybe I'm making it sound a little too easy, but within a few hours, I could be promoting content already created by somebody in my park speaking Spanish, speaking to my Spanish speaking audience.
Yeah, especially in your larger markets, it's probably going to be easier to find. Or, you're even going about finding that maybe Hispanic influencer or creator that you're going to go in and build some custom creative with if it doesn't already exist.
I like it. Okay. Number 5, 10 pieces of content is better than 1.
Right. So we just said it's great to work with several influencers. And I think one of the things that's really important when we talk about working with several influencers is the more influencers we work with, the more content we have, right? Helps with our wear out that we just talked about. But this is where like sometimes we might, an attraction might say, but we only have so much budget. So we can't really work with 10 influencers that all have 100,000 plus followers. This is where we would say, a nano influencer or someone with under 10,000 followers, like don't discredit them. They are awesome. A lot of them are producing content as good as the, influencers with 100,000 followers. When we start thinking about influencers for local markets, especially smaller markets, chances of finding someone with hundreds of thousands of followers is going to be rare. But, finding maybe that mommy influencer who's got 8,000 followers, like they're absolutely there in your market. So look for those. And then think about it, if I've got 10 nano influencers that have 10,000 followers, it sums up to, 100,000 followers total. And I get 10 pieces of content reaching, an aggregate of 100,000 followers versus one, mega local follower who has 100,000 and I get one piece of content. Well, if at the end of the day, I've got roughly the same amount of followers between 10 and 1, but I got 10 pieces of content versus 1, I have so much more content I can use now. And I think the key is, how are you using the content that your influencers are creating? Because if you're not using it, great, you got 10 more pieces of content, but it's still just reaching the same amount of people. We want to prioritize this because we want to use this content to promote it and reach more people.
Yeah, just kind of like we said at the beginning of this episode, the content is a bigger priority than the audience size. Mm-hmm. And this plays into it exactly.
Yeah. And it can also make your attraction seem bigger, right? Like now I'm, as a consumer, I'm seeing your attraction mentioned by 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people versus one person.
Right.
So now all of a sudden you're everywhere to me.
Okay. And number 6 on our list, people engage with nano influencers that's under 10,000, these smaller influencers, People engage with nano influencers' content at a higher rate.
Yeah. So the smaller the follower, the higher the influence, or the higher the engagement rate, which I think makes sense. But, and that's just really because their audience tends to be very niche and they're more engaged with the content that's being created. So in general, we're seeing about a 15 to 18% engagement rate for our nano influencers, around 10,000 followers. As that increases to our mega influencers, which is 100,000 to 500,000, that engagement rate drops to about 5%. So again, back to our example, 10 influencers with 10,000 followers apiece at a 15% engagement rate compared to one influencer at 100,000 and 5% engagement rate, I'm going to have more people engaging with my content by working with the 10 nano influencers than working with the one mega influencer.
All right. So we spent all this time talking about, don't worry about the audience size. So this is kind of like the gravy on the biscuit, if you will, knowing that working with these smaller nano influencers, we should expect a higher engagement rate within their followers. But that's not the end all be all, because we're going to promote that content.
Right. Yep.
All right, here we go. 5 steps to launch a social media influencer campaign bootstrap style. All right, so this is kind of geared towards attractions who have not played in the social media influencer space, or maybe those who are looking to double down, create or get a library, an arsenal of more user-generated content. What's step number 1?
Yeah, so I think the bootstrap version, the least barriers to entry is, searching for that existing user-generated content. Again, you're an attraction. People are talking about you. Go find who's already talking about you. So a couple ways to do that. I mean, you can literally do it by, going to Google, typing in Topeka Zoo TikTok, right? And seeing what types of videos come up. And you're going to look at it and be surprised at how many great pieces of content are actually already out there. So
some bad.
Some, well, I wouldn't say bad, just maybe not worthy of promoting it, right?
Understood.
We don't want to pay to promote it as an ad. But so you can start that way. And then you can also utilize TikTok and do a search within TikTok for this, or you can utilize what really kind of the big advantage that TikTok has over all the other social media platforms is what they're calling their TikTok creator marketplace. You can't really get a search for a nano influencer here because TikTok has a minimum of 10,000 followers to be part of the creator marketplace. But this is another great place to find influencers in your market. You can search by location. You can search by, do I want a male or a female? You can see their engagement rates, and they have, if they're in the creator marketplace, they already have rates for what they charge to work with them. So you can get a really great idea of, what that budget might need to look like to work with, multiple influencers in your market.
Cool. All right. So step 1, I'm actually going to go find the content. I'm going to use Google. I'm going to use TikTok. What's step number 2?
So once you find them, you need to contract with them. So this is, again, another great way to utilize TikTok. So with that creator marketplace, you can actually do all of your influencer management just directly in TikTok. So you don't need to go work with a third-party influencer management tool, which can, cost you a few $100s a month, or working with a third-party influencer management company that can cost you a pretty big premium to, manage your entire influencer management program. Now, it might be worth it to you, but again, if you're bootstrapping it, you're trying to get an entry level, then that's probably not going to be, one of the things that you're looking at executing. Or a third-party company is not what you're looking at doing.
But you said some of these influencers we might want to work with wouldn't be in the creator marketplace because their audience size, their followers are too small. What do we do about that?
So within TikTok's creator marketplace, you can also send an invite link. So let's say maybe you've done a couple of things to find influencers. You've done a search to see who's writing or already talking about you, sharing experiences about your attraction. We can send those people a link. And what that'll do is allow us to promote that post, through ads. And the biggest thing is it pulls it all into that creator marketplace kind of ad account or like management account so that we can see all of the performance on that post. And then we can easily promote that post if we want to as well too. So you can use an invite link to reach those people, or you can negotiate directly through the creator marketplace if they have over 10,000 followers.
That'd be cool. Like I create my own video. I'm at the Zoo Atlanta and threw that up on TikTok for fun. And all of a sudden Zoo Atlanta calls me and says, hey, we give you some, that'd be fun.
I mean, the excitement of it, like now they're like, yes, absolutely. You can pay me to use my content I've already created.
I'm quitting my day job.
And they're probably going to create more content for you too.
All right. Number 3, use Spark ads on TikTok to amplify their content.
Okay. So this is where we talked about why their followers don't matter, because you're just trying to get really great user generated content from some really great influencers, and you're going to promote it with your ad budget. So you're carving off a portion of that budget in TikTok to promote videos that have been created by these influencers. So a Spark ad is the way to do that. It is like a promoted post on Facebook. I'm sure you've all run promoted posts at some point in your ad history, but those are what Spark ads are. So you can run a Spark ad promoting your own content, but in this case, what we're talking about is creator content. So you can also run a Spark ad promoting creator content. Within that marketplace, they're going to check the box, basically saying, yes, I give permission to run this ad or run this content as an ad. And that's it. That's all they have to do. And then now you have access to that video to actually run and promote in your creator marketplace.
So, okay, I'm the advertiser. I'm paying somebody to use their content. I'm promoting their 60-second day at the zoo video. But, I kind of want it to say more of like, buy tickets at my zoo. Like I'm trying to sell some tickets here.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. Obviously, we want our ads to work for us, not just working for the creator. And when that Spark ad is run from a creator, it is coming from the creator's username, not Topeka Zoo, right? It's coming from things to do in Topeka account. So what you want to make sure that you do is actually place a call to action overlay on your ad. And that gives you the ability to put like, buy now, learn more, and direct them to wherever you want to go. So if they click on that call to action banner or overlay on that video, it's going to go to your website or to your TikTok page. So I've definitely seen a lot of people run Spark ads with creators, and they're like, but it doesn't drive any traffic to my page. Well, they didn't put a banner on it. So super, super important. Make sure you put that call to action banner. It's easy to do in the when you're setting up that ad, but make sure you're putting that on there so that some of that traffic will go to your page as well too.
And since now I'm running this content as an ad, I'm assuming I'm going to get some sort of metrics, like as if I was running my own content as an ad.
Yeah, you get all those great metrics. So we're able to see different types of engagement rate, who's liking it, who's commenting, or how many people are liking it, how many people are commenting on it, who's clicking that call to action banner to go to your site, who's clicking to go to that creator site. So there's a lot of different metrics that you can get. Just keep in mind with these, like, yes, they can be used for some type of conversion, but we're using these for awareness, right? We're using these to generate awareness and excitement about the event that, we're running in market.
Yes, we'd call that an impactful ad placement if you check out our guide.
Yeah, and I think some people would, are too quick to try to compare that type of performance to, well, my Facebook ad, drove a better conversion on site than, my TikTok ad. But, we're discrediting how much this, 1 minute ad or 1 minute, content just like told this whole story of what there is to do at this exhibit that we have. I mean, it's, like you said, it's the TV, the equivalent of the TV spot, really, to someone who's like very engaged and is, kind of building their story of what their night out at the exhibit is going to look like. And, a few weeks later, they're going to go buy that ticket.
All right. Step number 4, negotiate with the best performers and turn them into ambassadors. What is a social media ambassador?
So an ambassador is really kind of the next level influencer. So this is who you're working with on a longer term contract. Maybe you're negotiating for them to, come and visit 3 or 4 exhibits for your attraction throughout the year. They're sharing your mission. You've got a lot of different initiatives throughout the year that you're asking them to create content about and share. You choose what, maybe some of that you're promoting as ads, maybe some of it you're not, but this person is really kind of sharing content on your behalf throughout the year. This is important because I think instead of jumping into, I think this is where a lot of people would try to start their social media influencer program is,
good point.
I need this ambassador, right? And this is why they jump to, I need the 100, 200, 300,000 follower because I'm going to work with one person like this. But we're going to do a lot of work beforehand, like earlier on, to work with more people to get more content and then test all that content to figure out who really should be our ambassador. Because you might be thinking your ambassador needs to be, one person, but really when you run all these ads, you're going to see, you measure all this performance, you're going to see that it's somebody you wouldn't have ever even thought of should be your ambassador. And so it's a great way to test into how to build those partnerships, and who you should really be focusing on working with long-term versus just, well, I like the way they look.
Yeah. I'm thinking we've gone to Google, we've gone to TikTok, we've found 10 pieces of content created by 10 different creators that we like. Let's say we engage with 5 of them. And then 1 or 2 of them, after we've been running paid ads and we get real metrics within our own dashboard, we see 1 or 2 of them, their metrics just jump off the page. Those are the people that you're going to try to build a deeper working relationship with.
Exactly. Yeah. So now we're going to go to them and we're going to give them direction on the type of video content we want them to produce, right? Still obviously very authentic and in their voice. But rather than just waiting until they produce something and then we go and ask them if we promote it, we're going to now come to them with a brief and say, hey, we want you to talk about this event, this exhibit.
And you've done this before. Like, talk about maybe what that kind of engagement looks like. Is it a year-long contract?
Yeah, I'd say once they've produced some content that's worked well or done well, right? Not only is the content itself great, beautiful, fits our brand, but it's also performs well. I say usually it's turning that into like a year-long contract with a brand, with an influencer, and they love it. Like they want to work with you on this level because once they've done, 1 or 2 pieces of content for you, like they know your brand better and it's easier for them to create more content. So they want longer term working relationships with brands, just like you want a longer term working relationship with an influencer.
So I'm thinking kind of an outline of an engagement would be, hey, we're going to get you behind the scenes access to our holiday lights event. We're going to get you, VIP access in some enclosed areas so you can take that killer content without maybe the masses, being there. Mm-hmm. Any other examples that you can provide?
Yeah, spreading the mission, right? Yeah. So there's going to be, what do we really do here? Like, what is the purpose of all of this? So they can really, remember, go back to one of our points was the fact that they can, the emotional connection that they can bring out from their followers versus you as a brand. The mission is the perfect thing to actually have influencers share, but once, to get that type of emotion behind something so important, like we want to work with them on some of the easier stuff first to then build them into this person who can really kind of talk about what all of these attractions are really here for.
I like that. Okay. And then step number 5, we're going to expand our advertising to different platforms.
Yeah, kind of rinse and repeat. So we're starting with TikTok because TikTok has the built-in influencer management, but most of these influencers on TikTok are also on Instagram. Some of them have higher followers on TikTok. Some of them have higher followers on Instagram. But we're going to see, when we go to negotiate with an ambassador now, because we saw that their content performed well in our ads on TikTok, we're going to also have them extend that to Instagram as well too. So that contract may look like, we want you to create, throughout the year, you're going to come visit 3 exhibits. You're going to produce a TikTok video and a Instagram reel and Instagram post. So I'm going to get 3 pieces of content from each one of these. And then, I think one of the questions that people might have as they're going through kind of building this brief out is like, okay, but what should I pay? Right. Because now it's no longer, just TikTok. So it's no longer just the rate that maybe they have in Creator Marketplace. So in general, kind of the guideline around payment terms is, as of now is, $100 per 10,000 followers per piece of content. So if we had a, nano influencer with 10,000 followers and they're producing 1 TikTok video for us, we would say that's about $100. Now, I think the smaller the influencer, you might pay a little bit more for just because they're still having to come out, produce that video, right? That takes a lot of time. The quality can oftentimes be as good, if not better than people with 10 times the followers. And then if they have, 100,000 followers plus, you might be paying a little less than that. So just use that $100 per 10,000 followers per piece of content is just a general guideline for how to structure a contract.
Let's recap it here, Jenny. I got number one, we're going to prioritize our content over followers, right? We're looking to engage with influencers that are creating great content, and we really don't care about their audience size, the size of their followers, because we can run the content as paid ads. Number two, we really want as much user-generated content as possible. That'll help us avoid content wear out. And you're saying TikTok is the best place to start.
You got it.
Jenny, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Marketing Attractions Podcast. If you have a suggestion for a topic or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at marketingattractionspodcast.com.